We are officially in Digimon Survive release month after years of waiting, and the lovelies at Bandai Namco have dropped a gameplay trailer showing off more bits of information about the mechanics of the game. So we're going through it and we're going to highlight some of the ones that you missed. First off, I briefly want to chat about the phone and the map. We see that there are different areas to visit and the types of main activities seem to be highlighted on the menu. In the school area, we see people and monsters, whereas the forest area just has monsters. There could be different icons later as well to point out different things that you can tackle. It's also worth pointing out that the phone has no signal and 95% battery. I do wonder if battery percentage comes into play during the game. We also see in the top right, moves 7 out of 7. At first I assumed this was a date, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. It looks like it's the amount of interactions that you can do at any one given point, so possibly like there's 10 things that you can do, but you're only allowed to do 7 of them. I reckon that could be what is going on here, which is really interesting. It's a cool mechanic that really plays heavily into the choices matter style gameplay that they have been touting. Next, the trailer delves a little further into the choices by saying about how you have karma and affinity that changes depending on your actions and words. It's kind of normal stuff for an RPG these days, but it is pretty nice to see that these human characters are probably quite fleshed out and that you can develop your relationships with them. It's also implied here that Digivolution changes depend on your karma, and it's also been implied in other trailers too with branching evolution trees. It's nice to see how in-depth your choices can go, meaning no two playthroughs will feel quite the same. Thirdly, a game mechanic that I hadn't realised was coming is talking on the battlefield. As a Fire Emblem player, it's not a shocking new mechanic, but it is nice to see that it is being used here. In exchange for your action that turn, talking to a friend can boost their stats or do other things like heal them, and it's reasonable to assume it would be affected by your affinity. As long as you've got a higher affinity, the effects will be more powerful. I also love that you can talk to enemies and potentially recruit them. By saying the right things, you can avoid a fight and get them to help you out. I'm gathering from this part that you need the bar filled up to a point over that little arrow. Perhaps the more difficult the recruitment, the further along the arrow sits. It's not really mentioned as to whether you keep that Digimon permanently or not. It could be like a summon system, could be really interesting to see, or maybe you can swap out your main Digimon, who knows. Next, we get some better images and ideas of how advantages are created in battle. There is the standard Digimon type triangle, data, virus and vaccine, as well as neutral. A virus is strong against data, data is strong against vaccine, vaccine is strong against virus. But there are additional attack bonuses depending on your terrain and your position. Positioning yourself around the side of an opponent, the back of an opponent, or above the opponent gives additional power, which is really cool. It also looks like back attacks grant double damage, but it might just be here that Beelzemon is much stronger than the opponent. We also see a critical hit, which is really cool. We assume that this is based off of RNG, and a handicapped attack, or a resisted move. So certain position combinations along with items and Digimon types influence how effective your attacks are, really bringing a higher level of the tactics side to these grid-based fights. Stats are obviously very important as well, but this stat page of Guilmon's shows some really interesting mechanics. The standard physical and special attack split is there as well as speed, but there are also move type, move amount and vertical move. Move type is walk here. This implies that other movement styles like swimming or flying could be here too. This would affect the terrain you move across, perhaps you can skip over walls or rivers depending on your move type. Move amount means how many grid spaces you can move per turn, but the interesting one for me is vertical move. Guilmon has 1/1, so I assume that means that attacking an opponent above does normal damage as well as attacking one below. These stats could alter though, meaning that certain Digimon are more effective or more powerful when attacking an opponent above or below them, which is another awesome tactical layer to see. The final battle mechanic we'll talk about is Digivolution. Naturally, the same as other games, this means getting a stronger Digimon with better stats and attacks, but it's really worth noting that like Digimon World 2003, you can Digivolve straight from Rookie to Mega, which is great for your endgame fights. I'm not sure if I was expecting this mechanic or not, but it's great that it's happening either way. You know, I think I'm just super excited for this game. There is a surprising amount of depth to the gameplay, whether it be the tactics style games, the advantages you can have on the battlefield, or the social aspects. There's just a lot of care that looks like it's being put in here, and the game looks really gorgeous as well, which is definitely a good thing. I want to briefly mention here the end of the new trailer. Guilmon and the HP support item was previously referred to as a pre-order bonus, but now it's Digital Month 1 edition. This different wording makes me wonder whether it's just for people who buy the game digitally or those of us getting a physical copy. Does that mean that we can download it as long as it's within the first month? I'd like a little bit more clarification on that. That would be really good. But yeah, in general, really good trailer. What did you think about it? And are you as excited as me for Digimon Survive? And are there any other bits of content that you want me to cover? Let me know in the comments, of course. Make sure you hit like and slap the subscribe button as well. That'd be fantastic. Now, if you want to check out some more stuff from me, I've got a video for you right here. Have a great night or day.